This week on Mining Matrix with Mania, we sit down with the Director General Mining Cadastral Office, Engineer Obadiah Simon Nkom, to enlighten us on how transparent is Nigeria's mining licensing systems, its reforms, policies, and what is new with the e-cadastral system. Find out more on this. Don't miss out on Mining Matrix with Mania, where solid minerals meets policy, only on Asset Television. Who really owns what?
Hello and welcome to Asset Television News. I am Mania Osidi. Here are the headlines. Gunmen threaten to kill 176 adoptees in Kwara State if federal government fails to act. ADC rolls out power sharing plan ahead of 2027 elections. And federal government introduces school textbooks ranking system. Now to the news in details. The All Progressives Congress has released a revised timetable and schedule of activities for the 2027 general elections, adjusting timelines for screening, primaries, appeals, and related internal party processes, while also publishing designated bank accounts for the purchase of expression of interest and nomination forms. The notice, issued on Monday from the party's National Secretariat, Buhari House in Abuja, was signed by the National Organizing Secretary, Suleiman Mohammed Arubungu, and separately confirmed by the National Publicity Secretary, Felix Moka. According to the schedule, the sale of forms will run from April 25th to May 2nd, 2026, while submission of completed forms closes on May 4th, 2026. Screening of aspirants is fixed for May 6th to May 9th, 2026, covering state houses of assembly, House of Representatives, Senate, governorship, and presidential aspirants in phases. Primary elections will commence on May 15, 2026, beginning with the House of Representatives, followed by the Senate, state houses of assembly, governorship, and presidential primaries, ending on May 23, 2026. The African Democratic Congress, ADC, has unveiled a new power-sharing framework aimed at keeping Nigeria's opposition united ahead of the 2027 presidential election amid raising concerns over internal rivalry. The proposal, described as collegiate system, is designed to move away from the winner-takes-it-all politics and promote collective leadership, even if the emergence of a presidential candidate.
A key figure in the party's reform drive, Lukman Salihu, disclosed the plan on Monday while speaking on the morning show on Arise Television. He said the initiative would ensure that governance, if the party wins power, is anchored on teamwork rather than individual dominance. The development comes as political competition intensifies among opposition figures including Peter Obi, Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, Atiku Abubakar, and Rotimi Amechi, whose supporters have continued to push rival agendas. However, Salihu dismissed suggestions that growing tension signals division among the opposition. Explaining the model further, Salihu said the framework is designed to keep all aspirants engaged, regardless of the outcome of the primaries. He also expressed confidence that key figures would remain committed to the process. The ADC chieftain disclosed that the party had already developed its governance blueprint, anchored on manifesto adopted at its last convention. He noted that internal disputes had delayed its public presentation, but assured that the process would soon be concluded. Salihu added that the party is also working on a structured screening process for aspirants to ensure credibility and public acceptance. He criticized the ruling All Progressives Congress (APC), accusing it of drifting from its founding ideals. According to him, restoring internal discipline and strengthening party structures are central to the opposition's strategy. On groups and individuals yet to join the coalition, Salihu maintained that participation remains voluntary. Despite ongoing tensions, he expressed optimism that the opposition would rally behind a single candidate. A key figure.
Bayelsa State Governor Senator Diri says the adoption of both kinetic and non-kinetic approaches in the fight against banditry, kidnapping, insurgency, and other forms of criminality will help in tackling insecurity rocking the country. Dewey stated this during a courtesy visit of participants of the Executive Intelligence Management Course 19 of the National Institute for Security Studies NIST in Government House, Yenhua. The Bayelsa Chief Executive, who was represented by his deputy, Dr. Peter Akpe, emphasized the need for stressing that no military strategy, however sophisticated, can substitute for inclusive governance and equitable distribution of resources that will give the citizenry a sense of belonging. He informed that his administration was sustaining the prevalence peace in Bayelsa State, mainly through non-kinetic measures such as prioritization of youth employment, skills acquisition, scholarships, as well as opening up rural communities with roads and bridges to endanger socio-economic development. Tension has gripped Wuru community in Kai Agama local government area of Kwara State after terrorists holding 176 adopted residents reportedly issued a one-week ultimatum to the federal government, threatening to kill the captives if their demands are not met. The alarming threat was confirmed by the traditional ruler of the community, Salihu Biu, whose wife is among those held by the adopters.
Speaking in a telephone conversation, the monarch said the adoptees spelled out their terms after observing Jumat prayer with their adopters on Friday. According to him, the terrorists expressed frustration over what they described as government's lack of seriousness in negotiating the release of the victims, despite resources allegedly being spent to keep them alive. Bill explained that one of the adoptees was allowed to contact her family on Saturday and confirmed that all the captives were still alive. He said the woman disclosed that the terrorists have been teaching them Arabic and Islamic knowledge while in captivity. She reportedly told her family that after the Jummah prayer session, the government made their intentions clear, warning that if nothing was done within 1 week, they would forcefully marry off the women and kill those considered to be weak. The development has heightened fears amongst residents and relatives of the victims who are anxiously waiting for government intervention to secure their release. The mass adoption have further raised concerns over worsening insecurity in parts of Kwara State, especially in remote communities vulnerable to attacks by armed groups. Community leaders have called on security agencies and the federal government to act swiftly to prevent what will become another major humanitarian tragedy. As anxiety grows in Wuru community, families of the adoptees continue to hope for urgent action that will ensure the safe return of their loved ones. Mania Usibi, Asset.
A fresh wave of violence attacks have claimed no fewer than 19 lives across Benue and Katsina State, with several others injured, deepening concerns over escalating insecurity in parts of the country. In Benue State, at least 7 persons were killed and several others injured when suspected armed marauders attacked Channel 1, a border settlement in ward of local government area. The assault, which occurred in the early hours of Monday, April 27, 2026, reportedly involved heavy armed men who arrived on motorcycles and opened fire on residents. A community leader, Elder Joshua Anawa, confirmed the incident, listing some of the victims and noting that others sustained serious injuries and are now receiving treatment in medical facilities in Ain town. He added that the attackers were believed to have operated from camps in nearby deserted villages, raising concerns about persistent cross-border threats. Residents of the affected and neighboring communities have begun fleeing their homes of fear of further attacks. Local authorities say the pattern of hit-and-run assaults has continued to undermine security efforts in the area. At least 42 people have been killed and 10 injured in fighting between rival ethnic groups in eastern Chad in a conflict that began as a dispute over a well water. The conflict in Wadi Fira province, initially between two families, are said to have escalated into a circle of reprisal attacks that spread over a wide area, with villages burned down. Chadian authorities said on Sunday that a delegation led by Deputy Prime Minister Lamin Mohammed have been sent to the area and the situation has been brought under control. Deadly communal clashes are common in the Central African nation, with a long-running pattern of disputes between farmers and herders, as well as ethnic tensions. The federal government has introduced a national textbook ranking system for primary, junior, and senior secondary schools nationwide as part of efforts to strengthen quality assurance and standardization in the education sector. Minister of Education Dr. Tunji Alausa disclosed this in a statement by Folashade Boriwa, Director Press and Public Relations, Federal Ministry of Education, on Monday in Abuja. Alausa said the initiative will address so many problems of textbooks in schools and ensure that high quality curriculum compliance learning materials were approved for classroom use. The minister explained that under the new system, the Nigerian Educational Research and Development Council will retain its statutory responsibility for approving textbooks for Nigerian schools. Beyond the approval, Alausa said textbooks will now undergo a structural national evaluation process with ranking to determine the most suitable and highest quality options for each subject and level of education. According to him, the reform is expected to reduce the excessive number of textbooks currently in circulation, which has often created confusion for teachers, students, and parents. Zenith Bank PLC has announced the opening of its Côte d'Ivoire subsidiary, making pivotal achievements in the group's Pan-African expansion strategy. The official opening ceremony, scheduled to hold on Wednesday, April 29, 2026, is expected to attract senior government officials and regulators from Nigeria and Côte d'Ivoire, continental business leaders, and members of the diplomatic community, highlighting the strategic economic ties and investment opportunities between the two markets. The new subsidiary, licensed in December 2025 by the Ministry of Finance and Budget, Republic of Côte d'Ivoire, and regulated by UMOA Banking Commission, will commence operations from its headquarters at Plateau, Abidjan. Anthony Joshua has signed a deal to fight fellow former world heavyweight champion Tyson Fury Eddie Heading had announced. Joshua, who has not fought since he was a passenger in the fatal car crash in December, will first have a combat fight against Christian Pringa in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia on the 25th of July 2026. Fury and Joshua, both two-time world champions, have carried British boxing on global stage for more than a decade. Yet, despite years of negotiation and false starts, the fight has never materialized. But promoter Hen posted on social media on Monday that the long-awaited fight was signed, sealed, and delivered. Joshua, 36, must first get past unknown 35-year-old Albanian Pringa, who boasts a record of 20 wins and all by stoppage and 1 lose. The new musical film about Michael Jackson has stunned a worldwide box office, scoring the highest opening weekend ever for a biopic. The singer, nephew Jafar Mike Jackson portrays him in Michael, which has taken $270 million globally since it opened on Wednesday. Queen musical Bohemian Rhapsody, which launched with $124 million in 2018 and starred Rami Malek as Freddie Mercury, previously held the box office record for a musical biopic. But Michael also surpassed the $180 million taken by 2024. Oppenheimer giving the King of Pop the biggest worldwide opening weekend for the biopic of any kind. The film has taken down much better with audience than it did with critics, several of whom complained it depicted a sensitized version of Jackson's career. And now, on a sad note, we inform you that veteran Nollywood actor and producer Solomon Akiese is dead. He died. His death confirmed on Monday by the president of the Actors Guild of Nigeria, Bakari Yakubu. Yakubu said the actor passed away in his sleep on Sunday, adding that his remains have been deposited in a morgue in Abuja. According to him, the Guild is still expecting more information from the deceased family regarding the circumstances surrounding his death. Akiese, who hails from Ososo in Akoko local government area of Edo State, began his Nollywood career in the late 90s and went on to feature in over 100 films. He was known for roles in movies such as Marry Who You Love, Kiss My Pain, Joy of Nakasha, Heart of a Saint, Deadly Affair, Gen Z, Wife, Olaido, The Fisher Girl, Pretty Liars, and The End Is Near with Desperate Ladies. And that's the news at this hour. To follow us on our social media handles for more news and programming. I am Mania OCB. Thanks for watching.
Who really owns what in the Nigerian mining sector?